things right to match the slave was to get that.
We're back with no after show intro because we weren't in the right room. How's everyone doing out there?
That's amazing, Kev.
I love it. It's been so long since we did one of these. We
were sitting back there and we were like, man, we have so much time to kill. What are we going to do during all this time? And then
maybe we should check our settings. How's everyone doing tonight? Fantastic show. My headline is, with Trey playing rhythm guitar is the way PHiSH should be. The jams are patient. There's none of this bliss stuff. What was your headline, T?
Does Trey have that new strain of razor blade throat COVID that's going around where it just is attacking your throat? Because
I think so.
That was some raspy ass voicing tonight. I was expecting, I was expecting more of a jam. I mean, there was a very heavy jam, but I was expecting even more jam heavy second set encore ish of him not really singing and getting a heavier dose of them jamming. I was surprised that we got so many lyrics, as it were, in the second set. But great show, great overall show. Fantastic tour opener. They're on a roll right now with tour openers. Spring tour was fantastic. This is right there with it, if not a little bit better, maybe. But yeah, loved it. Let's get into it.
Yep. Shout out to the 2 new members. We popped them up. Thanks, guys. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Welcome, Ben. Welcome, JD. See you tomorrow in the member hang. Actually, I won't, but Kevin, Tim will.
Well, somebody will be there.
Somebody will be there.
Somebody will be there. All right, we got to put that set list up. We're going to get it together. And I didn't even drink. God help me.
You should have been. I think that's the problem.
Right. So there was 2 things off the top that we need everybody to know. We went back to the OG 4 across, what I call the line, with Fishman and Page bookending Mike and Trey. And Trey had a new guitar, a 1.5. He called it Koa. I guess it made from the original wood, but I don't think it made it through the whole show. Anyway, let's jump in. They opened up with the 2-slot song, the 2-slot anthem Moma, which I liked. Good for them. I like, even if it's a little change up like that, that's a good thing.
Yeah. I knew we were going to get a Moma somewhere tonight in the set. It's just, we were talking earlier, when you go back and look at shows lately, especially like tour openers over the last few years, and just sort of these, you can kind of see a pattern of songs. So I kind of knew Mom was coming. I was kind of surprised it came as the opener, but makes sense and it works. And yeah, it's a good starter to what was to come.
Right. And then we got back on the train, and I was like, is this Mondegreen?
I know, right? I felt this. I was like, huh, it's interesting how these 2 go together, and we're getting like that pairing sort of like, again,
yeah.
Even the next song with Wolfman's in there too. You could just, it's sort of what we talk about with Dead and Co. It's the same songs, just where do you place them in the set? Like, how are you changing up the songs in the set?
Right.
But solid train again. I mean, that song is really come into its own as whether it jams out further or is just in its like compact jam vehicle, which it usually is. And tonight was a perfect example of that in the 2-slot. Fucking sounded great. And
solid 1-2 punch for an opener. And then we got, Wolfman's spread its legs a little bit, spread its wings.
Does, which it does occasionally. I mean, this one didn't go as like crazy as Wolfman's does. It still had a little bit of that over pushing towards it, but it didn't quite do what we know Wolfman's can do and has done in the past. And I think, opening show, it's one of those safe songs to play, I feel like. So it did its job. All these songs will definitely be on the table for repeats as the tour goes on, for sure, as we know, like
the
spring tour.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, we know how many times they've played
Theme. You're going to get 3 each of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know how many times they've played Theme lately, and Wolfman's is definitely in there. So it's just nice to see them start with them, though, and like get that first one out of the way, because we always know what happens the second, third time they play these songs. So
it would be stretch your legs or spread your wings. I mixed my metaphors there. Theme has been there's been a lot of themes in the past year, and we talked last year before summer tour about how I wish they would do songs more a smaller pool of songs to get the repetition, and
Mhm.
theme has definitely been a beneficiary of this. There's just so many new spaces in it, and they
Yeah,
just give it time to breathe. Really like what they do with that.
I agree. And yes, I think that is an example, a direct result of playing it so much. We complain sometimes about hearing too many songs too often, but when this is the result of it, where even when you will get a sort of mediocre or whatever version you want to call it, but this one was actually better than that at 14 minutes. But when you do get those, they're better than average or mediocre because they've played it so much. It's sort of in the repertoire, so they get it. And theme is a definite. This one, this is where I feel like the show kind of took off. This was my favorite song in the first set. Like I loved what this thing did. Like where I felt like you would be into it too for the first set, for being in the first set and kind of getting as darkish and broken downish and like kind of exploratory as it did in that section. I thought was fantastic. So really cool.
Right. Oh. The old Homeplace. I love this song. I close my eyes and I'm back at Clifford Ball, and it just really hits home for me when I hear it. I mean, it's only 3 minutes. You blink and you miss it, but I'm glad that they were like, gave Mike a song to sing, and this is the one they gave him.
I love it when it's the bluegrassy, like the tunes, like that we get from him that are like the quickies, the fun, quick, short ones that they do. You can't be mad at it. Like you can't. It's not a Mike set killer. It's not a destructive force in the set. Like it's great. And okay, 3 minutes, fantastic. Like
Right.
happy.
All right, 46 Days had me scratching my head when they went into it. I was like, they're going to open up on this one. And maybe it was Trey having issues with the new guitar, but at 7 minutes, I felt a little gypped. I wanted more. 46 Days has been a monster,
Is this one of the shortest ones ever? Like
God,
I feel like
has to be. Yeah.
It's almost like it's obscene when that kind of thing happens. It's like when we got the 7 minute piper or whatever in Spring Tour, and we're like, is that even really a piper? Like, does that count? Like, I mean, that's kind of where it's become now. I feel like we'll talk about that when we get in the second set. It's become that sort of in-betweener song where it doesn't get its proper playoff because it comes in between. And this was an odd 46 days. And yeah, maybe you could attribute it to the guitar being long is something, because 7 minutes is crazy. That's usually a song that he loves to take out there and go for a stroll and explore and do things with, especially in this location.
And the right
in the
spot.
set. Yeah.
Right. The right spot. Exactly.
Right. This is where that would happen. And you would like really take that off, and it didn't. So I was kind of surprised by that for sure. Unless, I don't know, we'll have to keep an eye on it and see what happens going forward. And see if how sometimes some of these songs have shortened. So to be, like Blaze On was that monster for a while, and now it's back to kind of being a little bit neutered and back to in that shorter areas. So I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll see if it becomes a pattern or not, or if the next one all of a sudden is like 45 minutes.
Right. Michael, a quickie is better than nothing at all, is what my granddad always told me. Birds of a Feather. I love Birds of a Feather. We don't have Wook here to comment on whether they got the intro right, but it sounded damn good to me.
John, Trey did have a sore throat. I totally agree, but that's why I said at the beginning I expected more jam songs, especially in the second set. And so for them to like pull out of a 7 minute 46 days to only go into Birds, you're like, well, that doesn't really, like, you're still singing, like you're still so stay in 46 days and jam and keep your voice, like, so I don't know. Yeah, it was weird. And then Slave is the song that I thought the second set would be more like let's just get Perfect Night for like a Yam encore where you only have a few words to sing. Like all the songs have a few words, Divided Sky type things, like just things that he didn't have to sing. So Slave was a great closer, a set closer. I love it when it's like this first set. We always talk about, what we like as set closers. This is one of those songs that I like there because it usually it's not quite a hard driving Antelope or Character Zero where you're left like rocking, but it leaves you in that blissful, happy, ready for the second set to be like, all right, what's coming?
So we have gotten Slaves in the first set in recent years. It's not common, but 12/29/22, the show from that place in Pennsylvania, the New Year's, that they had to cancel and they just did the stream, and then a couple times in October 21. But you know, it is a rarity to get it in the first set. At one time it showed, you know, Slave could show up anywhere, but it has kind of found its home either closing the second or riding the encore spot. So that's where we are. We're going to do some housekeeping. We'll be here 15 minutes after the encore for the duration, all 22, 23. What is it? 23 shows. If you like this, we do member hangs at Set Break. You can become a member. Hit the button down there. Please like and subscribe, and then you'll find out all the cool stuff we do. We did a couple things today. I did my morning show. We did something about the rail, the new policy of the rail, and we also did something about the new stage setup. So let's jump into this. Bouncin in the one spot. If you're watching for free on YouTube, you are mad.
Are you though? Come on. No. Come on. I love it. I think it was such a
what's your question? Wait, hold on. You guys are
what are you looking for? The question?
Wait,
I think you just say
somebody had a question. Hold on.
Oh,
have
boy.
they ever opened with Slave ever? I do
open
not
with
know
Slave.
that off the top of my head, but I will have an answer for you tomorrow. I will figure that out. I would say if they did, it had to be 85, 86, something like that.
Set one. Let's see, 5-3-85. It opened set
85.
one. Mike's was after
There
it
you go.
a couple times in 85. It looks like 89. Yeah, it has happened.
It was their new shiny toy back then.
If I scroll down, it looks like most recently 7. Oh no, actually after that 8-4-24. Was it on the encore?
It didn't open
that would be why it didn't. Yeah, that was why it was the encore. But where was it opening? Let's see. Encore. I don't know. If only Llama was here.
We'll figure it out. Sample.
Wait, Kev, I want to say one thing about Bouncin before you just bounce right past it. The new stage setup combined with like this run at the beginning of at least bouncing sample was so much fun. For me personally, like I just thought it just brought back so much joy and nostalgia of them playing in that line and like playing these songs, and it was just I don't know. I loved it as that opener. I thought it just really, like I said, coming out of Slave into it, Slave was kind of the perfect setup for it because you were in sort of that happy vibey moment, and this is like one of those happy vibey songs. I mean, this is early. I mean, this is like what PHiSH is to me. So getting this was awesome. And what I always like about this song is it always sets up something great after it because of the way it ends. You know, like you always want like the Axel after it, or like a Mike's that drops in after it, or like a Frankenstein in 94, right? Like in Richmond when you got the mule ahead of it and then this and then a Frankenstein, you're like, dude, that's when this song rules. Tonight, I thought it was so odd that we got the sample because going through it, I actually went and looked, and I think this is the first time that samples ever followed bouncing in a set, which is crazy considering like one was, you know, came out in 90 and the other one in 93. So that was kind of cool. Like I really liked, I appreciated that opening salvo of these two songs. And then what it went into after that was fantastic.
Right. Pretty solid, close to an hour there. Life Saving Gun has become a monster. This one almost made people pony up their $20. Longest one ever. And really, I felt like this, and when we get into the twist, is where Trey really shined in not overplaying. He gave Page so much room. There were these long jazzy passages that were reminiscent of like earlier psychedelic music, you know, maybe like 74 Dead kind of thing. Fishman was, you know, totally free. He was hitting the cymbals. It was absolutely beautiful. And if this is what the trend is, hallelujah, hallelujah.
You told me you were getting sick of Life Saving Gun, or you were like over it. And the last two we've heard have been so good. And even the one before in Dick's or whatever last year was so phenomenal. Like this song is just crushing lately. And what they did with it tonight, I thought of you. Like I was like, come on, Kev, like you got to be loving this complete breakdown. And there was moments in that breakdown where it sounded like we were going to go into a timber. Like he totally got down into that timber mode. And I thought for sure we were dropping into it. Like that's where we were going. And I was like, that's a perfect thing out of that. But then he decided to stretch it a little bit more. And I guess you could say twist it a little bit more and keep it going, and fell right into that twist, which was like such a perfect and fantastic segue of that entire thing. And I just want to touch back on your point about letting Paige find those. Paige was the MVP tonight, like hands down, no question. That guy was on fire out the gate tonight and ruled the show.
Right. I feel like they reached a new level of maturity with what they were doing with this life-saving gun twist. Patience found the twist, jumped into the song right away, the lyrics, but that thing got filthy. I mean, full on space. They completely broke it further than you get with a split open and melt even, and it was in this huge twist. I mean,
dark,
unfinished
evil,
too.
Like, unfinished.
Right. Life-saving gun too, unfinished. Good for them.
Which dissolving into that, like it made that twist, which again, even in that twist, it almost felt like they could go back into life-saving gun, might have been where that thing was going to exit into, but it didn't. And it just, I also want to comment on the live stream tonight, because I noticed, especially during this twist, they got very cinematic. Did you notice, like putting the lights over over, like layering the footage, and then also doing these crazy, like having them set up now on the floor, you can, like the way they were coming around Fishman and some of the things, like we've definitely we've moved into this cinematic stage, I feel like, of the live Fish now. It'll be interesting to see how this goes the rest of tour, but it was fun tonight to see that, and it really, during twist, it kind of made sense. What was the question? I didn't get to read it. Bring it back up.
Dude, I left it up for.
I know, I couldn't read it. Now you lost it.
Did he switch guitars?
Did he switch guitars? I thought it sounded like he did. I mean, he felt, I don't know, he sounded more confident in the second set, it felt like, than he did in the first set. And it felt like coming out the way they did with Bouncing and Sample, it was meant to do that. So I don't know. Yeah, it worked. Whatever he did, it worked.
Twist. And then Piper. Twist and Piper, in my mind, go hand in hand. I feel like if I hear a twist, I'm going to hear a Piper. And I know it was only 10 minutes. It was a little truncated, but it worked as a perfect bridge before we ended up with Everything's Right. And I'm going to be high and low on Everything's Right. So I'm going to let you go first with it.
I'm just going to say that coming out of a twist into a Piper, it makes so much sense and it works, but it also should give you that exploratory time to develop the Piper. You know what I mean? Like tonight we actually did get a little bit of a pathway into one. It wasn't quite the short walk from the sidewalk to the door this time. Like it actually had a little bit of a little bit of distance there before he jumped into it. But then again, he jumps into it so quickly. It's like the song hasn't even caught up to the speed of how fast he wants to be singing Piper. And I complained about that in Spring Tour. Like, Trey, let it build a little bit more and then get the lyrics under the part of the song that should be right. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And then we got kind of shorted on it, but the jam was fantastic. Piper's become this in-betweener, I feel like, though. It doesn't have its own space anymore, where it is the exploratory jam and this meaty 15 minute breakdown like Twist did and become that evil weird shit in it anymore. It's the in-between song. It's like it comes in between a heavy jam and another song that may or may not be a heavy jam, like something like that. It's just kind of like this part of something. So if that's where it's going to live, that's where it'll live. But it's at least tonight it jammed, and it was better than that 7-minute one we got in spring. So Everything's Right, though, Kev, to your point. My feeling on it, it matched Slave perfectly. Like it had that same build in it that Slave had that closed the first set. So I felt like it was, if Trey had problems in the first set and a little bit of whatever with that Slave too, I felt like this was that redemption moment for him playing it, because the way they got into that ending was so early in the jam. You could feel it formulating, and then that carried it into where it led to at the end, and that build and that like peak that Trey wanted. So I felt like that really was a nice book into what they did with the Slave in the first set.
Right. So I've always had an issue with the lyrics for Everything Right anyway, and I just don't. Nothing is right, Trey. But beyond that, usually it was landing 11 minutes or so closing sets. This one they pushed out to 15, and those extra 4 minutes were complete gold because
Yeah.
Trey found the end of ER, started playing it, signaled to the band, and then they went into that Slave-esque jam.
Yep.
And then came back, and it wasn't this abrupt back into the song. They eased back into it, and I felt they finally figured out how to end the song after all these years.
And I'll say this, Mike, you got to get, I'm the biggest stand for the slow. It's never coming back. Like we're not getting it. So we have to accept where we're going to be with it from now on. And you have to take what they give you. And I feel like this one, the jam was strong enough and pushing 10 minutes made it better than usual. And to Kev's point, that wrap up, like there was a part in Everything's Right. As soon as they went into it, I was like, man, Trey, why wouldn't you spend the time you're going to spend singing and wasting your voice singing Everything's Right instead of just jamming a piper and building it and giving us this fantastic fireworks ending to a show? But then halfway through that Everything's Right jam, I was like, well, now it makes sense because like he wants to build this jam out. He wants to do this sort of slave build thing. You know what I mean? Like finish it his way. And I get that. So it made sense and it worked. He did it. He pulled it off. Like it worked great. I mean, yeah, of course we'd rather have it, but this is what we get in PHiSH 2025. So I'm going to take it, and it worked. He landed it great. The end of it was fine. I'm surprised he sang so much. Maybe tomorrow night. I don't know. Maybe he's going to get crazy voice work done today, but yeah, I was surprised he sang as much as he did. That was the other reason I figured Piper would have gone as long. It should have gone longer, but they landed it. So what are you going to do? It's great.
There you go. All right, we got the triple encore. You knew they had a bunch of time. I thought they were going to be done at quarter after. So the Suzi was a nice little bonus there. Strange Design. People love that song. I hear people say that could have been a hit song, and I don't hear it. I think the lyric is still out there for it to be a hit song, but what do I know?
What do you know? What do you know? Yeah, I don't know. People do love that song.
It's cool. Good for Page getting his moment there. He loves singing it. And back in olden times, it was cool when he did it because he didn't have much to sing.
Right. I mean, I'd rather have an "Oh Sweet Nothing" there personally, but I digress into the times we're in. And
yes,
but yeah,
solid hood. I mean, nothing more than you normally get. It always has some nice passages. I thought we were going to get more of Trey and Mike facing each other during it, since they have no barrier between them anymore. Hey, let's talk about that for real quick for a second.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the new setup? I felt like it was very conducive to communication. Fishman on a little curve so he could see straight across to everybody. When Page was facing that direction, he saw straight across, and I really think that this is going to do wonders for him.
I do too. I think everybody talking about the drums moving to help them with hearing it and all this stuff. And I never really got that. Like they've been playing together forever. Like why can't they be like in the line? Like what? So I don't know. I feel like this move, yes. And I feel like tonight there were moments of brilliance where we're going to see this pay off in the coming shows. And we're going to be like, wow, like
you better get yourself to Pittsburgh, people.
That's
Suzi Greenberg. We all love Suzi Greenberg.
Fantastic triple encore. Fantastic
triple encore. Can't wait for tomorrow.
It felt like, again, watching them up there in the line, it felt so 1.0-ish with the Strange Design Hood Suzi Greenberg encore. You're just like, yes, this is the PHiSH I love. Like, fantastic. Great show, guys. Awesome.
Great overall show. We will see you guys, members at Set Break tomorrow. Everybody else, 15 minutes after the encore.